Early in your leadership journey, what did success look like, and how much of it was shaped by your expectation versus your inner alignment? Where was the moment in your career where you had to pause, you had to reassess how you were leading, not because the results were bad, but because something just didn't internally feel aligned?
I think the biggest thing, as I said, is humility. It's not being arrogant. It's not always being right. It's being right for the cause, not right because that's what suits you and your agenda. The agenda should always be the greater good, not just your personal agenda.
What I realized is I was trying to live up to people's expectations of what they described or what their definition of what a mistake was versus I had to rewrite my own definition of mistake. I think that's something that we just have to do at times is know that hey, I can stumble, I can mess up a little bit. Just because I did that, it wasn't a mistake. The mistake was I didn't do anything about it. This is the Authentic Edge podcast. Real conversations with real leaders who've dropped the mask, faced the truth, and found growth that actually fits. I'm Mike Secord, and every episode we pull back the curtain on what it takes to lead, live, and grow with authenticity. Because here, authenticity always wins. All right, so welcome to the Authentic Edge podcast. I am so excited to share with you the guests that I have today. Very honored to have Craig Witt, the CEO of Exit Realty in the U.S. Division. Craig has spent decades leading at the highest levels of real estate, guiding large organizations through growth, market shifts, and constant change, while staying deeply focused on culture, clarity, and people. He's not just someone who understands scale, he understands the weight of leadership and everything that comes with it, the pressure, the responsibility, the quiet decisions that rarely get talked about. In today's conversation, we're not just talking about titles or results, we're talking about what leadership looks like behind the scenes. How do you stay grounded when expectations are high? How to grow when you feel like sometimes you're losing yourself? And what kind of legacy actually matters when the noise fades? Craig brings a steady, thoughtful perspective that every leader, whether you're building a team, running a brokerage, or leading at the executive level, you can learn from. So, Craig, I'm so grateful to have you here. Welcome to the Authentic Edge podcast.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for inviting me. I like to go where I'm invited, so this feels good.
Oh, I put together a small list of people I want to start this podcast with, and you were one of the ones I had on my list. I'm like, yeah, what I know about your story and what we've shared, and we've been in rooms. I'm like, this is someone that I know can have huge impact on people.
I love it. I hope I can. Thank you.
So cool. So early in your leadership journey, what did success look like, and how much of it was shaped by your expectation versus your inner alignment?
I think it goes way back before my affiliation with Exit Realty. It goes back to my youth and the people that I hung around. I hung around with a lot of adults. I grew up really fast. But I noticed, I watched them, I observed them, but I didn't observe them planning for the future. I observed them as to what they were doing, how they were doing it, the kind of get it done attitude, the humility, the no nonsense, the no BS, no excuses, own it even as hard as it is and you don't like it, own it. So I kind of felt like a leader from the beginning, even going through school when I was younger. But as you develop as an adult and you go through different career paths, everything tests you in a different way. And you meet different people in and out of your life. And I think the biggest thing, as I said, is humility. It's not being arrogant. It's not always being right. It's being right for the cause, not right because that's what suits you and your agenda. The agenda should always be the greater good, not just your personal agenda. And if you hang around people that have that same feeling, it's very easy to just continue down that path because I can hold myself accountable. I hold myself responsible. It's okay to say I'm sorry and I screwed up and made a mistake. And
Hmm.
you shake it off and you move on. And I mean, I think a good leader can do that and not to say that it doesn't bother you personally and emotionally to make a mistake is kind of a stretch because it does. I take this very seriously because I have a reputation and I'm constantly building and kind of building and maintaining the reputation that you've got. And I care about what people think as much as I care about them and what they think.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I had the same kind of feeling lots of times and same kind of pressures. And what I realized is I was trying to live up to people's expectations of what they described or what their definition of what a mistake was versus I had to rewrite my own definition of mistake. And that I think that's something that we just have to do at times is know that, hey, I can stumble, I can mess up a little bit. Just because I did that, it wasn't a mistake. The mistake was I didn't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
And that was
the best
what
lines I
really
ever
hit
heard
made a
was
big difference for me.
yeah, I think one of the best lines I ever heard was have zero expectations of others. Now think
Yeah.
about that for a minute. If you have zero expectations of others, you can't get let down, right?
Hmm.
Person I've got the highest expectation for is me, and the only person I can let down is me. Obviously, I can let down other people in other ways, but ultimately, you got to stand in front of the mirror and say, I love you, and you're a winner, and you're a
Hmm.
leader. And today we're going to go crush it, no matter what that looks like. And we're going to deal with adversity, but we've always got to remember that other people have feelings too. And what we do has got to be for the greater good.
Definitely, definitely. That's so awesome. That's awesome. So what was the moment, or I should say, where was the moment in your career where you had to pause, you had to reassess how you were leading, not because the results were bad, but because something just didn't internally feel aligned?
That's such a good question, especially when you've been in and out of a few careers like I have in different business ownership experiences. Honestly, it wasn't business at all. It was personal. I went through a divorce and I was facing a lot of guilt, like a failed parent and a failed husband. And things were going good in my business at the time, but I was falling short at home. And a lot of it had to do with being away, working long hours, building a company that that's just kind of how I'm wired. And sometimes I leave things unattended that I should not. And I think that's a learning experience that you've got to go through. I think that the old saying that you don't know what you got till it's gone weighs in here. But I think leadership's always been in the back of my mind. It's always been something that's come very natural for me. And I don't say that arrogantly. I say that like I want to be the one in the front of the pack. I don't want to be a follower. I don't want to be in the back kind of wondering where we're going and what we're doing and are they making the right decisions and all those things. I want to be part of the solution.
Hmm.
So going through that personal experience years ago and then rebuilding my life with a new wife and my daughter, my grandson has had a tremendous impact on me because I cared deeply about what other people thought of me. And I just thought I wasn't a bad person. I just went
Hmm.
through a setback. And they say, a setback is a setup for a comeback.
Hmm.
And that led me to where I'm at with this company. And I continue to remember those experiences so that it keeps me aligned with what's important.
And that's awesome. Thank you for sharing something like that and how you could take it away and apply it. And basically, you had to unlearn a few things
Mhm.
to then apply it as a leader. So that's really great. So how do you stay grounded now, both mentally, emotionally, as a leader? When the pressure is constant and the organization becomes large, like how do you stay grounded and staying in that range as you're pushing yourself through that?
That's another really good question. It comes easier for me maybe than some others, and I think a lot of that has to do with I'm a born problem solver. I love solving problems. I love fixing things, and I think men by tradition is what we do. But me especially, I just like to take a challenge on and feel like I don't need the credit because I solved it. I want the credit to myself that I found a solution to that problem. So staying grounded has a lot to do with a balanced family life. What's important, obviously, with my family, and also with the ability to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Conflict hits me every single day, 20 different ways. And I constantly turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. And every situation is unique unto itself. Every person, you've got to take your opinion out of that situation and you've got to put yourself in their shoes and say, where are they coming from right now? And what else is going on behind the scenes that I don't know about? It's like, uh, it's like having an issue out on the road when you've got somebody that's an angry driver or you don't know what's going on in their car, right? You don't know if they
Hmm.
just had a loved one pass away or if they just found out they have a health situation or they're out of money or they just lost their job. You don't know what's going on in their life. So before you react, You've got to say, look, something might be going on that they're struggling with that's bigger than this, and this is not a big deal. Back off a little bit. And if I can do that as a leader when I speak to our associates and even when I speak to friends or family, it's tougher with family. But when you're speaking to people that you lead, it's easier for me now to go just take a step back and let them talk a little bit and figure out what's really going on. Because there's usually an underlying issue that's beyond what the cause of the call is all about.
Definitely, definitely. And I'll just give a personal side of following you, not only meeting you in person and having conversations and being there, but just following you from a social media standpoint is, I see balance and grounded in you all the time. Like you're not posting things on there about where you're at, what flights you're on, where you're going, what stages you're on. It's always about, a deer camp, family, all this, and it's inspiring to me to go, hey, there's a little side that I look at you as a mentor, going, how do you stay grounded in a spot that is so busy and so going? So I give you some applause there. It's something that I love watching and doing that. So what does sustainable leadership look like for you or look like to you in today's not only just a real estate environment, but just the entrepreneur, the business environment in general?
Well, I think, the definition of sustainable leadership to me is not being a sellout, is not climbing this corporate ladder trying to find your next big win. Now, it's one thing to advance your career. It's another thing to buy in and believe in a mission that you know is moving the needle for a lot of people. And I look at the position that I'm in. One is very humbling, right? It's an honor and a privilege to lead at this title in this company. I don't take it for granted at all. I'm no different than our hardworking real estate agents on the street. I'm just like them. I have the same problems that they've got. It's just in a different environment. Um, but I think the biggest thing is we're in such a volatile environment right now in our industry. Our real estate space is loaded with not everyone, but by and large, C-suite executives or even people that are climbing the corporate ladder that are just looking for how can I make more money? How can I get a prestigious title? How can I be seen with the who's who? How can I get on social media and brag about everything that I've got and the new boat I just bought and the trip I just took and all these things? It's one thing to do it genuinely because you want to share your experience with the people. It's another thing to do it for an ego-driven attitude where you're just trying to prove to somebody something so that maybe you'll get recognized or noticed. So in our company, it's about stability. And I think that that is the key. When you look at a leader, do your people trust the company? Do they trust the leadership? Do they believe it that there is stability in the leadership? They don't have to worry about the person that they report to or that they have leading them getting ready to make a move. We get approached all the time at this level for better opportunities or different opportunities, more pay, better, whatever it is. They're constantly
Mhm.
offering us something, right? And it's not hard to say no when you say, no, and here's why. Because I believe in this and we are unfinished business at this company. And we have a lot of people that are depending on my leadership right now. And I've got to see this company win. And I
Mhm.
want to be there at the finish line with everybody involved, not just me holding the flag, but everybody that was part of putting us in a position to be really proud of who we are. And we are proud of who we are. But, by and large, the executive leadership in our company, and you know this, Mike, I mean, over 23 years of experience with Exit Realty from a leadership, it's just unheard of in our business.
Mhm.
So that's what I consider sustainable leadership is when your people trust you, but they believe in you and they'll follow you, and they know that you're not going to sell out.
So that leaves me a little bit of another question based on that is when you say the 23 years of experience and this and no that's unheard of, it really sounds like that's a part of the culture of the company that people just want to stay in this and go on. You even said, you get offered and you do this. So what do you think builds on that culture? Where does that come from? How can people take what you're doing there and go, hey, if I put some of this stuff into my company or my leadership, it'll help build that culture as well.
I'm a serial entrepreneur in the sense that I've not had a bunch of companies I've owned, but I've had a few. And the companies I've owned have been startups. All right. And I'll take you back to October of 2004 when I found Exit and I went to our first broker training and Steve Morris was in the front of the room, the founder of the company. And he was speaking about the purpose of this company. Why was Exit created? What were the problems in the industry? What solutions did he introduce to this business? And how can he set these agents on a path to financial security. Help them create wealth in a business that is unheard of unless you are a high achieving agent that has some level of success that can invest in rental properties or some other investment income where you can earn income. How else could you do that? And when Steve introduced that thought into my brain, I had never focused on me, first of all. I'd always focused on the company. How do we build, build, build? And
Mhm.
my head was always down in the sand, 7 days a week, 12, 16, 18 hours a day. And when Steve gave that speech, the opening day of broker training, I started to buy into the people. I liked, I really liked the formula, and I knew it was a no-brainer, and I thought it was too good to be true, but I really bought into his mission. And when he shared the time starting up the company and the financial challenges he went through, all those things very much resonated with me because I went through the same thing. Okay, lost a
Mhm.
marriage, lost a house, lost money, went all through all those things. So all of a sudden, I started buying into his mission. And once you buy into somebody's mission and the purpose and the real intention behind a company, rather than just saying, okay, how much money can we make so we can take this company public and then we can sell out, we can go on our merry way and collect our income. That's a beautiful thing, and congratulations to all the people that have done that. But that wasn't the approach I took. I said, how do we build Exit Realty in one of the best real estate brands that we're proud of? And that's easy when you believe in it to go out on the street and sit down with our associates and our brokers and our regional owners and share that passion with them and say, hey, we're arm in arm. We're in this together. You're struggling. I'm struggling. Okay. If
Mhm.
you're not making money, we're not making money. So I'm in the same boat as you are. But I think it's really important to remember that a purpose-driven, intentional path is what's most important in leadership.
That is gold there. I hope if you're in a device where you can rewind it and re-listen, go back a little bit and re-listen to what Craig just said, because that is gold. He said a really key word that I want to make sure everyone heard. He said purpose.
Mm,
And I have found from lots of people that I work with, they've lost sight of their purpose. They're in kind of survival. And I ask you out there, if you're listening to this, if you're an entrepreneur and you're in some sort of leadership side, get really clear on what is your purpose. And then Craig said something really, really important that as you take that about your purpose into it is the people that you lead need to hear alignment in your purpose that aligns with their purpose. And Craig said that so eloquently of how Steve said something that he heard his purpose and then he saw how that aligns with his purpose.
yeah.
And when you've got alignment, your whole thing is how do we keep in alignment?
And I think if I can add one other thing too,
Hmm.
I would love to say that everybody in our company has bought into the purpose, but they're just not. I mean, they're human beings and they've got their own mission in life, and I get that. And there's been a handful that have bought into our company that have taken it more down the path of money, 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 and they haven't really stepped back and said, why is this here? And not just how does this affect my life? How can I affect and infect other people with what we have? How can I
Hmm.
pass my purpose onto them and Steve's purpose onto them and Tammy's purpose onto them and Joyce and how do we get them to buy in? Because once we know that they love this company, then we can work with that, right? Now I can target, it's just like a real estate agent that comes into the business. I can't, or anybody that I've ever hired in my lifetime, I cannot teach you personality, but I can teach you the skill. I can teach you how to drive a bulldozer. I can teach you how to put in a sewer line. I can teach you how to sell real estate, but I can't teach you how to smile. I can't teach you how to have personality. I can't teach you how to be a good problem solver, how to be
Hmm.
kind, all those things. And once we find that person, that great leader that says, I want to do more, and I'm bringing with me this bag of tricks that is driven by the purpose of Exit Realty, now all of a sudden it's like a piece of clay and we can start molding it and say, if you just do what we say, and I don't mean telling you what to do, I mean coaching you along the way. And you know
Hmm.
this, being a successful coach,
Yeah.
do what I say, you'll have a level of success. It's as much you want to put into this, as much you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, no, that's so great. As John Maxwell teaches us all the time, everyone communicates, but very few connect. And as we're at the time that we're recording this episode, we're coming up on Christmas, and I think the holidays are a great time to look back at what Craig just said there about alignment and purpose and things like, you know, a lot of us we haven't seen our family in maybe a month or a few weeks or maybe longer if you're living out of town. But when you get together for the holidays and you're all together and you're talking, you get reminded about the purpose. That little
Mhm.
fire goes up and comes back into your family. You haven't forgotten it. You just have gotten
Yeah.
distracted from it. And I think we're in a very loud world right now that we get easily distracted. Even though people have heard things, we got to keep saying it and keep reminding them, keep going, and we got to keep bringing that family together
Mhm.
and rekindling those times. So just get as a leader and understand you need to over communicate now than than we've ever had because just because you said it, you didn't truly connect.
Right,
And sometimes you
right.
got to bring everyone together, going, oh, this is why we're together.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times it takes a family tragedy or a life event to bring that out, right?
It
It's
does.
like nobody believes in God until they go through a crisis, right? And then all of a sudden he's the greatest thing. And my Whitbit this morning, actually, my weekly article that I wrote was about distractions. And it was the idea was distractions cause destruction. All right.
Hmm.
And being in alignment, alignment means happy, healthy home life, happy, healthy business life. And if you're off in one of those two areas, it directly affects that other area. And the agents in our industry that struggle the most are have trouble with discipline. They have some kind of family crisis going on, whether it's with children, it's with faith, or it's with finance, or it's with their spouse or their partner. And the people that are having trouble at home typically are because they're struggling financially, or they're not getting along with somebody at the office, or they're not performing at the level they want. So one affects the other. So the opportunity is great because what is the end of the year, and all of a sudden we get to start all over again, which is a great thing. Well, how about starting over, thinking about how do I bring these two things into alignment? How do I get a little bit more balanced at home? How do I start sucking it up and really trying to make my relationship work and working a little bit more closely with my children and helping keeping them off social media and all these things we could talk about in another podcast.
Hmm.
But then how does that affect my business life to help me focus more and be more productive? Because once one starts going better, it's going to affect the other in a very positive way. Alignment.
Definitely. I love it. I love it. I love it. So the closing question I have for you is when you think about your leadership legacy,
Mm.
beyond titles or results, what do you hope the people inside Exit and the people that you have influence and lead, what do you hope they say you stood for?
Wow. Um, Number one, trust. Trust, I think, is very important. I think dependability is also very important. I would love for them to say they could count on me, that I was a good communicator, that I returned a lot of phone calls on time, timely, that I helped them solve problems. But moreover, that I believed in the company, and for that reason alone, that they were better able to believe in our company also. Because I think when you believe that the leadership believes, it's blind faith. All right. And there's the word
Mhm.
for the day, blind faith. The person sitting in the back of the airplane, and I'm a pilot, has to believe that the pilot in the front not just knows where they're going, but they're competent and they're not going to kill them. All right. So
Mhm.
we put blind faith into the pilot to get us there safely. I hope that the people that I've surrounded myself and that I've worked with over the years, not just with Exit, but with other companies as well, said he was a good guy. He led by example. And for that, we believed in him, and it's a place we would work because of that.
And you said something right there that I wanted people to kind of, if you're out there listening to this and you know anything about being a pilot, they have a checklist and they have
Mm.
checklist for checklists.
Mhm.
And what you heard from Craig in this interview is he has a leadership alignment checklist
Mhm.
that he's running through on a daily basis. So I ask you, like, what is your checklist? What do you go through to make sure that you're in alignment and doing? Because your checklist allows you to have people on your plane that have blind faith.
Right.
And
Right.
I love that. So what would you, this is a bonus question, a pro tip question. What would you tell someone who's a leader who's succeeding on paper but feels disconnected inside? What would you tell them based on what you've been through and where you're at that help them feel more connected?
Well, let's go back to a relationship, right? The honeymoon phase. When you're just starting, you meet and you're starting to date and you're both, going out, you're having a great time and you're going through this honeymoon phase, everything is great. You kind of got blinders on, nothing else really matters because you're devoted to this relationship at all costs. We're going to make this work. And then it develops into being engaged and then we get married. And the next thing you know, we're 10 years down the road and we're looking back going, I'm miserable. Why am I miserable? Not everyone, but perhaps this happens. It happened in my life, right? And I guess the thing that I would say is stop for a minute, go to a mirror immediately, and ask yourself, why did I join this company in the first place? Why did I raise my hand to become a leader? what's in it for me? And bigger yet, what's in it for them? When you're feeling disconnected, and I'll use the words of our director of leadership, Bob McKinnon, who I is one of my mentors, right? Love the man. He said one time, he said, Craig, people first become disenchanted and then they become disengaged. Why are they one of those two things? Why are they disenchanted? Because they fell out of love. They forgot the purpose. Something else is in their mind that is distracting them from what they should be focusing on. And they're starting to see their business atrophy and their personal life atrophy. And a lot of it is because one or two little fixes would fix that. Um, when a leader starts feeling alone, the leader needs to start circling around their most trusted friendship circle. And they need to take all those acquaintances and push them to the side for a little bit. And they need to bring in their trusted advisors and sit them down and say, here's how I'm feeling. What do you guys recommend? Or girls recommend? And I think that when times are tough, you pull those in closer that you trust and respect. Leadership is a very lonely position. I think that there's this idea that people think that you're making this big salary and you've got this great position and all you do is travel around and it's great hotels and food and all this stuff. And it is for some. It's not for me. Okay. I can tell you that it has been a challenge and, both financially and struggling growing this company and working alongside of our other leaders. And there are times when you're sitting in a hotel room staring at the ceiling going, what am I doing? And you
Hmm.
stop and say, I'm doing this because Steve Morris spoke to me in 2004 and I bought into his mission. And guess what? The company didn't change. I changed. So I need to go back to where I was. And when realtors are feeling that pressure, like I got to get out of this brokerage, I need to switch, I got to go somewhere else. The brokerage didn't change. You bought into it for a reason. You believed in it at one point. What
Hmm.
was that reason? Find that reason, go back there. And if you still can't reconcile, it's time to make a move. Don't be miserable in life because you didn't make a move or take a chance. That's kind of the reason that we're these entrepreneurial people, these independent entrepreneurs in our business. But again, I think that the best lesson I can give to anybody is always your success is mostly who you hang out with. And when you're going through a tough time, you need to be able to pick up that phone and call a friend and go, hey, I need to talk and be humble enough that you can say, I'm struggling with this. I need help with this. Not everything. I need help with this. And
Hmm.
you it'll give you insight that you're not either prepared to hear, wanting to hear, but the hard truth often helps make a difference.
It does. It does. And that's one of my favorite words and that I focus on and I'm always top is you need that perspective. You
Mm.
need someone else to look at things. You need a different perspective because you keep looking at something the same way that you've been looking at it. You see it the same way, and someone else can see it just a little bit different than you did, and you didn't even know that that was there. So I really, really appreciate you opening up and giving some gold for our audience here and how they can apply it into themselves and become better leaders of themselves so that they can become better leaders of people. So this is a little bit of an advertisement spot, but if someone is sitting out there listening to this and they heard some purpose from you, they heard some alignment in things, and they see kind of a connection, and they have this leadership drive in them, how would they get in touch with you to find out more about what it is you're doing?
I'm easy to find. I'm all over the internet. You can find me online. You can text Craig to 85377 and find me that way. You can connect with me on social media. You can email me, cwit@exitrealty.com. You can call me. My number's online. It's everywhere. I'm very approachable, and I'm very accessible. And sometimes that can be a bit of a problem. But overall, people don't call unless they need you. And I guess the question I would ask you is before somebody calls, evaluate why you're calling. What is it? What's your dream? What are you looking for? Are you looking for someone to answer a question? Because there is no smoking gun in the real estate business. There isn't. There's nothing that's going to do it for you. And that's what I'll tell you. But I will tell you this, if you want to align with a company that can help you align with yourself, and if you're thinking that you're just going to continue to chase money because there's another brand out there that's going to give you a better commission split or less fees, or they've got something that is going to make you a multimillionaire, look very closely at the makeup of that brand and that company and what that overall vision and the purpose of the company is and what their intentions are. Because you don't want to get into a situation where you're nothing but a number. You want to matter. People need to matter. If you want to matter, you join Exit Realty because that's what we do. We help you here. And I think that that's important to remember. If you come to us, you'll do better and the money will find you. It will follow. But we're going to teach you, train you, and hold you accountable. And that's something that Mike can do as well, being one of our coaches, that he will help help you do better, and he'll stretch you and pull you outside of yourself so that you can see what you're really looking for.
So I appreciate your time on this podcast. Look forward to hopefully we'll do more down the road and do things, but I really feel just you spoke to me. So if you're speaking to me, I know you're speaking to me.